I'm Zoe Davies and welcome to Thanet Writers Investigates Illness When Abroad. At some point we've all become unwell whilst at home and are comfortable with the knowledge that we can either visit a doctor or if it's more serious call 999. As writers we're able to draw on these experiences to portray them with accuracy. However, how does it feel to be taken critically ill whilst abroad and not able to speak the language? To find out, I've come to speak to Adrian, who was taken seriously ill whilst on honeymoon in Mexico. Thank you for agreeing to speak to me today. Can you tell me when and where this occurred?
It happened 14 years ago while on honeymoon in Mexico.
Okay, and what happened?
We'd been in Mexico for 2 weeks, on a 3-week honeymoon. And we were at the start of our 3rd week, and I was woken one morning with an abdominal cramp. I didn't think much of it at the time, it passed within a minute. But the same thing happened 4 or 5 times over the next few days. I thought it was the food, sort of change of diet catching up with me, so I didn't think much of it. I was just hoping I could get back to the UK through a 9-10 hour flight without any problem. Came to the Friday, and being the last Friday there, we took a trip up to Cancun to buy a few souvenirs. While we were there, we went down to the beach. Looking out over the water, we could see, a few miles out, a massive store building. A couple of hours later, when we got on the coach back to the hotel, the heavens opened and it absolutely poured down. Biggest thunderstorm I've ever seen in my life. Got back to the hotel, it was even worse. The hotel, it was full of people, hotels up the street had been evacuated, there were hundreds of people in there. And we were quite loving it. Went for a bit of a swim, then went back to the room. Getting ready for dinner, I'd had a shower and I'd come out, my wife had gone into the shower, so I was just lying on the bed watching a bit of TV. And I was also listening to the storm. And I started to feel cold. And I thought, well, it's got to be to do with the storm. So I got up, switched the air conditioning off, went back. Still feeling really cold, so I got up, shut the door. Didn't make any difference. My wife came out of the shower and she commented how hot it was. Well, I was on bed, well, actually in the bed, shivering. I was so cold. And she was a bit concerned. She said, well, I'm going to phone the doctor. Got onto the phone through to reception, couldn't get through. It was so busy up there, there was nobody to deal with the phone. So off she goes out into this massive storm, drenched, running through the hotel. It seemed to me only a couple of minutes later, but it may have been 5-10 minutes. She came back and found me on the bed, screaming in pain. She told me later that she could hear me from outside, despite the rain, the thunder. She could hear me from outside the hotel. We were in it wasn't just a room, it was in a block. She was somewhere off. A few minutes later the doctor came in. I was still on the bed sort of screaming, I was in pain. My hands were starting to curl up like this. He took one look at me and said, well, get an ambulance. Which he did. He phoned for the ambulance, which in my memory arrived about 10 minutes later. But I was in and out of consciousness, I think, the whole time. I was taken through the hotel on a stretcher. My hands were really clawed up, my feet were starting to do the same. Through the hotel, past these hundreds of people from our hotel, from other hotels, into the ambulance, taken to the local clinic. They wouldn't have anything to do with me. They said, no, we can't. Partly because of the weather, maybe because of the condition, I don't know. They said, no, you're going to have to take them up to Cancun, the hospital up there. So off we went. First stop had to be for diesel. They'd used so much diesel already getting to the clinic, they didn't have enough to get over to Cancun. The water on the roads, there's not a lot of drainage in Mexico, so it was in places a couple of feet deep. They were trying to go through. What should have taken 45 minutes took 3.5 hours to get up to Cancun. Got in there, I went in for the assessment. Their initial assessment was that my appendix had gone, had burst, and they said, we'll monitor you till the morning, see how it gets on. If it's no change, you'll be in, you have your appendix out. They put me on antibiotics, which fortunately must have done the trick, because the next morning they said, oh, it's not your appendix, it's something else, we don't know what it is. I then spent I think it was 3 nights in hospital on a drip, and yeah, just sort of got better.
Oh, so that's terrible. How was your wife reacting to all of this at the time?
Well, back at the hotel when the doctor first arrived, so he'd taken one look at me and said, no, we're going to get an ambulance straight away. And my wife had said to him, look, be honest, what's the situation? And he, his English wasn't brilliant, but his sort of indication was that I wouldn't make it to the hospital. And he sort of said that to me, he said that he's not going to make it. Then when we were in the ambulance, the paramedic asked her if she was religious, because it's a very religious country over there. And he handed a rosary and said, look, you'd better pray, because this is serious. As it turns out, I was later told, on the trip between the hotel and Cancun hospital, I had to be resuscitated 3 times. So it was a pretty serious situation. Even today, I don't know what caused any of it. So they thought it was my appendix. Then they said, oh, it's obviously some kind of poisoning. The medical report we got back was all in Spanish. The nurses there didn't speak English, they couldn't tell us what was going on. The doctors were in and out sort of fleetingly, and they didn't really know. So yeah, the best cause for it that we can given is some kind of poisoning that was serious enough to start shutting the whole body down and almost kill me. Really.
Sounds awful. So how did it actually make you feel being away from home, so many miles away, and not being able to understand what was going on around you?
Initially I was given so much morphine, or as the paramedics kept referring to it, heroin, that I didn't really think about what was going on. A couple of days in the hospital, when I was sort of coming off the morphine and on the antibiotics, it was more frustrating, because you're in a hospital room. It was an individual room, it wasn't a big ward, so it was just me and my wife in there. No one was telling us anything, no one could tell us anything, because we couldn't communicate. We don't speak Spanish and they weren't speaking English. So it was very frustrating. We were on the phone to home a fair bit, my wife was sort of communicating. They were sort of really concerned about what was going on. We had family members who were willing to fly over to sort of try and help us out. But yeah, it was pretty scary.
So, how did you feel when you actually finally got back to the UK?
It was quite a relief. But as I said, when the symptoms first presented themselves, it was just the cramps, and I was thinking that I just want to make it back to the UK without this getting any worse, because you don't know what the medical care situation is in a foreign country, especially somewhere like Mexico where there's so much poverty. And yeah, there are American funded medical centres, but you don't know quite what your insurance is going to cover, where you're going to go. Once you get back to the UK, you've got an idea of how the medical care is going to go. And I had hoped that the doctor would be able to read the report, maybe get it translated and tell me what was going on, but he couldn't do it. It didn't happen. So there's still that bit of frustration, even 14 years later. But just to get back, having friends and family know you sort of made it, it was a relief. And we look back on it now as, I say, a bit of an adventure, but it's a story to tell for your honeymoon, isn't it? So not many people can say that.
So how has it affected the way you look at travelling abroad now?
Oh, it hasn't. No, we're looking forward to going back. Yeah, we want to go back, same place. We'll get there one day. But no, travel abroad, yeah, can't beat it. Yeah, just make sure you've got insurance.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Adrian, and telling your story.
You're welcome.
So as you can see, the added implication of not being able to speak the language whilst you're abroad and being taken ill can make the fear a whole lot worse. Thank you to my guest today. I'm Zoe Davies, and on behalf of Thanet Writers, thank you for watching.